thank you for this food that's been prepared this morning. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
First on the item is a review of the September 5th, 19 work session minutes. Does anybody have any corrections or additions to those minutes? If not, we'll just let those stand. Submit to record. We'll start with our department reports, Public Works. Number one, we have purchase of a replacement tractor. Mr. Plunkett.
Thank you, Mayor, Alderman. As you all know, we had an accident with our tractor. I give you a price back budget time of $99,000 to replace the tractor anyway. Those tractors was $99,000. They had 10 of them on the lot at the time. Since then, those have been sold. In 1999, we give $52,000 for that tractor. The insurance give us $52,000 back for it this last week or whatever.
And say this is a tractor that got destroyed.
Yes,
in the accident on the line.
Yes, sir. We had in the budget $10,000 for the tractor. That's $62,000. The new tractor is $126,167. I'm asking for not to exceed $65,000 to purchase a new tractor. I went yesterday and looked at the tractor. They didn't have a demo that they could price us, so the tractor is on order. He said probably 3 months before we ever got the tractor.
That's just come off the state bid.
Yes, sir. It'll either be state or Sourcewell, whichever one's the cheapest.
This did come through Public Works this month and also Finance, so we approved to move this to the board for board discussion. So, anybody have any comments?
Well, I have none other than appreciate you looking at the demo models. I'm looking for in that area as well, because
Yes,
you can
ma'am.
get some good equipment through that.
It's okay, we'll carry this on to Tuesday night.
Fine with me.
Next up, we have the Community Transportation Planning Grant.
Mayor, I think you all may have a copy of the Croy Engineering report. They give us a total estimated fee of $76,000 for an R Street that runs from the post office to the creek down by the old chuck wagon. The water now comes down Norris, turns left and goes under the Crawford Supply Building. We're taking the water from the post office all the way to the creek on Norris Street. And that's $76,000 was their estimated engineering cost. And I think coming out of our committee, they want to keep this fee separate so that we've got a total cost on this job that could possibly be a bond issue.
I do have one thing. I think we was going to be on community transportation. We're actually on the drainage now. You're going to go down one more.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. I skipped.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, go ahead and finish your thought. Let's
Go ahead,
this, and then we'll talk about
Just so everybody knows we're on drainage number 3.
Yeah, we're on number 3. I'm
Number
sorry.
3. Yeah, and this was, and also if you would go ahead, Eddie, and there's a history to this area.
Yes, sir.
It's been there for a long time.
It's like the rock ditches you see around town back whenever they was installed. That they put a rock walls to stack rock, and then when time come and they needed a street, they just laid a flat rock or whatever, tin or whatever they could find over it and built the roads over it. We've had 2 instances where the road has fell in, and it's going to be a problem somewhere down the road.
Plus it's on the floodplain, so when we had the flooding earlier in the year, that removed those rocks.
Yes, sir. We do have to cross the state right away. At one time, back when this first happened, I talked with the state and they said they would help with that portion of it. So we'll just have to investigate that when time comes for the engineering part of it to be done.
We discussed this at length. Well, we've been discussing this at length for, maybe not at length, we've been discussing the Norris Street issue what would you guess on that first 3 years ago, maybe?
Probably 5.
5 years ago?
Yes, sir.
And then we've had another fall in since then. And, you know, we're dealing with a situation here that's eventually going to cause some serious problems. And I think some of this easement is on private property also. I mean, now we're trying to get that off private property. So we don't have any idea what something like this could possibly run. So that's the reason we need some engineering estimates to let us kind of know, because it will be an expensive job if we do it. It will be expensive. And we had talked in our committee meeting, and the board can do either way you want to do it here on this 76,000. We have some funding in the budget, but if we use this 76,000 out of the budget, what's budgeted for engineering fees and other places and all such as that, it's going to drain it dry almost. It's just going to really pull it down. Or we could look at it like this. This is a project. This is going to be probably a standalone project. I mean, it'll be bid as a standalone project. So really, the engineering fees should stay connected to that project. And if we do it that way, then we would need a budget amendment to go ahead and approve it. And if we do it the other way, well, we'll just have to pull it out of the existing funds, and we won't have enough to do the rest of the work. So that's kind of how we, and I think we kind of recommend, and I believe we kind of decided to recommend to go ahead and do a budget amendment. Instead of pulling our other funds down.
What's the will of the board? I mean, like I said, we can either just take it out of it and then do both. Oh, sorry.
Well, my thoughts is to do a budget amendment and keep everything in that project on its own. It's my thoughts. That's coming out of a committee. Anybody else can, you know.
Like I say, we can either take it from, just draw down what's in the budget, and come back later and do budget amendments, or do this one. I'll leave it up to the board how you want to do it.
Well, we don't need to, in my opinion, draw down the whole thing, because we won't be able to finish anything else that we have. And we need to get this looked at.
Yeah, we don't even have all of it. Well, I don't think we've even got the engineering cost and everything settled on the Brookmead project, have we, Scott? We don't know what the total's going to be on that, and we got Mulberry Road coming up.
Yes, sir.
We got several projects. We got 3rd Avenue coming up, and
This right here alone are our active drainage projects. They
This
are
is-
active.
so we drain it. If we pull this 76,000 out,
Won't be able to take care of those.
we won't be able to take care of the rest
Right,
of it.
everybody will look at those.
And I'd rather keep it all on this one project, because this is going to be the biggie right here. Now we're not doing this project. We're just going to find out what it's going to entail with this. So my recommendation or my thoughts is to do a budget amendment.
I think we should go ahead and move it forward with the budget amendment also.
Well, okay.
Yes.
I'm okay with that. In the figures that I have, we've set aside $350,000, and our current projects, Bagley and Markham, are $214,000. That leaves us a balance of $136,000. And if we're looking at 3rd and Old Mulberry and North Street, that's $154,000. So we're negative $18,000 if we don't vote to separate this out. So I'd hate for us to go negative on that budget amount. So that's it.
We'll move it forward to Tuesday. Before we go back to Phase 1 Streetlights Industrial Park is coming up in work. We talked a little bit about this last month. I talked about again about finance in regards to the fact that it's out there. It's the industrial park on Winchester Highway.
Yes, sir. Back in April, I requested prices from FPU to run the street lights along East Park Drive. I got prices overhead, underground. From our committee, I think it's the will to go overhead with the electrical. I've been in contact with Mr. Dye, even coming in the building this morning, trying to make sure that these prices were still good. We're at they give me a price of $25,427.78 to do this. And I think it was the will of our committee to bring it forward today and move it on to the full board next week. And
This is the road at the industrial park as you're going in from the entrance to the back.
to the
To the
cul-de-sac.
cul-de-sac, to the
Yes, sir.
cul-de-sac. And so I think the reason you didn't have lights in the beginning, when they first built it out, you know, the first building was the Nippon Steel building, or the first spec building.
Yes.
It became Nippon, which is now hematite. And then they added TMD, and now in the back, they've got this last one that they're trying to, getting pretty close, hopefully to sale. So the need out there is for it.
Yes, sir. The intersection at 64 and it needs lit bad.
And this is, this is a city street.
It is, yes, sir.
They turned this street over to us probably 2 years ago.
Yes, sir.
And this is another one of them things that came out of our committee. We've been talking about probably, I don't know, year and a half maybe, off and on, and kind of kicking back and forwards. And it is a city street, just like we light other city streets, a lot of other city streets, and with potential for 2 more factors coming in out there maybe right away. You know, we need to do our part, I think.
Okay, we move this to,
Have we heard anything from the IDB board? Are they interested in paying the difference to put it underground? Have they expressed
We talked to
any?
them. We did talk to them. Elaine was in our
Finance.
finance, and we gave it to her in that way that that we would do, if the board approved, we would do overhead. If they want it underground, IDB can pay the difference, and we'll go underground.
And then
Or the
we-
factors, or whoever. So we gave that option to them. They've got that option. And they would still have that option. All we'd be voting on is what we would be willing to do if they want to come along and add something to it, then they go underground. But we, as a city, I don't know that we do underground lighting. We do above ground lighting.
But they would have the option
Right.
to
Yes.
Pay the
improve
extra.
and go.
Yes.
underground.
They've got
Okay.
that option. They know that. She knows that.
that's correct.
We've given them that option.
That's correct. If it's okay, we'll move this forward.
Yes, sir.
All right, now we go back to 2. So either,
Can I, just for information, they're starting Markham Drive to, hopefully next week. They'll be starting the drainage on it.
okay.
Now, let's remember, we know when you put the barricades up that the people down there knows they can't go back out the other way, but we did promise them that we would let them know ahead of time.
We're gonna try to get a letter out,
Right,
hand delivered today, hopefully. Just talking
right.
about closing it down Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
So we're, today or tomorrow, we're gonna try
So
to get it out.
they'll have preliminary,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
It was brought up about a street light at, Stonebridge Park for the new parking lot. I talked with FPU, they're in the process of getting that installed.
Yeah, and we brought that up in Public Works, and the reason we brought that, I'm glad you brought that up, Edie, although we didn't take any action on it. We were down there Saturday night, I believe, with the art thing, and all kinds of cars parked in that lot. And it was dark. I mean, it was dark. And that lot right now is not in the best of condition. There's some places back there toward the back that we've not been able to get dug out yet, which were 80. He kind of worked the deal on getting that done. Not going to cost us anything. But we at least need some lighting down there until we can get that. And we're going to need the lighting down there even after it's paved. We're still going to need to light that parking lot. That thing's dark as a dungeon down there, and it is very, I mean, it's just too dark for people to be back in there. So we brought that up to maybe get some lighting done. We even talked about some temporary lighting, but since you talked to FPU,
There's a pole at the corner of Shawnee and Lynn Drive.
right,
And I talked to him about just putting us one big light up there to shine on that lot.
yeah. And it can do that because that's in a commercial area and it don't shine on the residential. Yeah.
And there, you know, once we get the lot finished and paved and striped, if we want to do some kind of lighting, we can go back and do it at that time.
Yeah. Yeah,
For
we
a
didn't make
temporary
that.
basis, I've got them putting that light
Right.
up for us.
Well, that'll make it a lot safer because they're going to use that lot to park in. They've probably been doing it all along anyway.
It was full Sunday evening when I went through
Yeah.
there too.
So since we took it over, it's more of our responsibility now than it would have been if it's used on private property. So appreciate you following up on that, because when we left our meeting the other day, we really hadn't talked anything about putting anything up permanent. We talked about something temporary.
Those and it's $25, I think, a month.
Right.
So that's a whole lot cheaper than renting something and somebody having to take and back and forth, so.
Right.
Good.
And it's lit all the time.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you thinking of that.
That's all I have, Mayor.
All right. Now we're going back to number 2. Community transportation planning grant, Scott.
And Mayor, you have a lot of knowledge of this in meeting with the TDOT officials.
Yes.
But this is just as it's described, a planning grant. And they'll give us 100% money up to $75,000 to address transportation needs within the city. And what we're asking of the board today is to allow us to pursue this. The deadline for application, which is simply a letter voicing interest in the program, due November 8th before our next meeting.
And I met with a couple representatives from the Long Range Planning Group up at TDOT. They actually contacted us. This is a great grant opportunity. Probably a study type thing would be done, and it has to follow the state roads. But we can do it. We got the way the greenways and everything, and Cam Blunt touches all that. We've got several things we could do, but like I said, it's 100%. It's almost, they said, everybody that applies normally gets approved, and they help out with, and we as a board will decide what kind of project we want to do. So, board's good to go forward.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Free money.
Any discussion on that?
So, anything else with Public Works? All right. We go into police. We have a permit for Lincoln County Heart Walk. This is an annual event that normally starts down, has in the past started down at Patrick and walked up around Washington and back. Standard event. It's just a permit we need to approve. It's okay. We'll move that forward. Second, ordinance 2019-09, update municipal code 15101. Mr. Hill.
Chief Howell and Melanie Reese from the police department approached me a few days ago, and Ms. Reese had been to a seminar where I think there had been a suggestion in the seminar that maybe when she went back, she should take a look at the local ordinance that. Well, I should back up and say the state law allows municipalities to adopt various state statutes that regulate, operation of vehicles. It's mostly the non-jailable offenses from speeding to, a lot of other things. So what we have done in the past is just kind of go in and have specific code numbers that we're adopting. So when Chief and Ms. Reese came to me, we kind of had some discussion, and I proposed that rather than having to come in every time the state legislature adopts a new statute that then we might want to adopt, that we just change our ordinance 15101 to adopt in their entirety the certain sections of the state laws that have these, what we call the rules of the road and the vehicle operation regulations, so that hopefully we won't have to come in periodically, or as often at least, to update our code if we just kind of have a wholesale adoption of these various sections. So I've put together a proposed ordinance that would amend 15101 to do that.
So what would we do? I think it's a good idea, definitely. But as the state changes and adds their statutes, would we get that information to every year we update it, or?
For instance, we're adopting Title 55, Chapter 8 in its entirety, and that's the section of the state laws that they would typically add a new violation to.
So we would automatically
So
be
we're
added.
just automatically,
Right.
and this would automatically cover it. We wouldn't
Right.
have to come in every time they do something and adopt what they're
Whenever
doing.
they change it and upgrade it, do they add that to that statute? They add it to so we would have to have an updated copy.
Well,
to have a current copy, I guess.
It's in, I mean, we have code books, the police department has code books.
Okay.
You know, the court system had code books, so.
Okay.
Whatever's, for instance, whatever is in Chapter 8 at any given time, per this proposed ordinance, would be deemed a municipal violation as well,
Okay.
so.
Irregardless of whether we had it wrote down in our code book or not.
Right.
Okay.
And if the legislature adds something next year, I mean, this automatically covers it that way without our having to come in behind them and adopt it.
And in addition, MTS annually updates our codes. Like I believe everybody just got a recent sheet, and that's only update for the recent year. But something like this, they would give us to take out an existing code and put in the
That's
new
what I
one.
was talking about.
Yes.
We would have that new
Yes, sir.
writing in there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Everybody okay with this? Move this to Tuesday?
Sounds good.
Anything else under police department, Scott, that you know
Yes, sir.
We have this,
of? Committee, anything else? Okay.
this permit for the,
Oh, we had that.
yes, for the addition, this addition here that we have
This
on
was
our-
not, in the- yeah, this
Right.
was for, is this my understanding?
Chain of life.
Chain of life. This has been one that's done before, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's get, pass that around before.
Well, I've got
It's
it.
there.
Everybody got it.
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
mine.
Everybody's okay?
Life
with-
chain, not chain of life.
Everybody's okay?
Is
with
this the one they've been doing every year for several years now?
Where they hold it, where they link
Yeah.
hands and they're on
We've
the
not
side.
been, we're not, this,
They're on the sidewalk, do we have?
Yes, but this time Crossroads Pregnancy Clinic is involved, so
oh, okay.
they've had a change in addition to their
All right.
organization.
If it's okay, we'll move this forward to Tuesday. Under the fire department, Chief Alderman's not here. He mentioned at a meeting last month about recognition of firefighters after saving a life. Scott, can you talk to anything of this from the committee meeting?
Yes, sir. He is wanting to present 2 of the firefighters and 3 EMS, or vice versa, an award, and you've got a sample of one of the awards, and he's wanting to present all 5 of them Tuesday with the board's permission.
I think that'd be great. That's okay. All right.
That's a great idea.
Anything else on the fire department, Scott?
No, sir.
Parks and Rec, Mr. Mitchell.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. We're just very busy, got a lot of events and everything coming up, and I'll give a full report Tuesday night. I would like to say the Christmas parade is December 7th. The theme of it is Hometown Christmas, Present, Past, and Future.
And then you've got the trunk or treat event coming up.
Trunk or treat, haunted trails, we're having Fall Festival in Stonebridge Park. We have a lot coming up.
That's correct. Let's see, is that all you have, Mr.?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. Planning codes, Ms. Gentry, quick claim deed for Fayetteville Lincoln County Museum.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Bob Stidfeld with the museum had approached the city. I believe on your iPad you have the map. There's a small triangle piece of land right beside the museum that he had approached us to see if the city would be willing to give up their interest in this triangle. And we've been working with Mr. Hill, and it's actually jointly owned by the city and the county. So if approved by the city, it would need to be subject to the county agreeing to give up their interest too.
We don't have any use for it, do we? Eddie, we got any use for that little piece of land, or
No, sir, it ain't. It's a little bitty thing.
little bitty spot?
So
I don't have no problem with it myself, let them have it.
I think it's covering the billboard area down there, so.
And I have spoken to County Attorney Ed Sims about this, so that, they conceivably would be considering the same things.
Okay. Everybody okay? We'll move that
Yeah.
forward. All right, and then ordinance 2019-08, amendments to the municipal floodplain.
Yes, sir. In January of this year, we had updated and approved the municipal floodplain zoning ordinance. And when EMAD submitted it to FEMA, they had a couple of changes that they had recommended. And so Mr. Hill helped us draft the amendment, and we just wanted to put these changes in place and get the amendment approved.
We should take this forward to a vote on Tuesday.
Yes.
So while we're on planning codes, the Walker Collaborative was back this week with their downtown master plan, and we met at the museum on this past Monday night, and great participation. A lot of the board members were here, some of the planning commission, the public, and sat out and took maps overhead of the area of interest that the Walker Collaboratives are working on, and they will be back here tonight at 6 o'clock to unveil, putting together all. There was just a great participation and great ideas. I don't think there was any bad ideas that were brought forward the other night, so we look forward, and all those that can come, please come and see this unveiling. This is step 2 of a 4-part plan. Anything you've got to add to that?
No, sir, Christie may.
Ms. Gentry, you have anything?
No, sir, that was what I was going to say.
Okay. Is anything left in planning codes?
I just wanted to mention that the mural, they changed the unveiling to October 28th at 5 p.m. And we'll be getting the information out on our Facebook page. And we invite everybody to come and see the unveiling of the mural.
All right, thank you. IT department. Mr. Taylor, you have anything this month?
I don't have anything that's going to go in front of the board Tuesday night, but if you need an update, I'll be glad to
Sure.
give that. Just a quick update on the payroll system. We've got 2 time clocks that's been in place for the past month, and they've been working great. And so we've installed the rest of the time clocks in every department except for Public Works, and we'll finish that today. And then we'll be starting live testing this Saturday for 2 payroll periods, and the plan is to go live after the next 2 payroll periods. So that's going very well, and it's looks like it's going to help us out as far as payroll. So besides that, Zach and I, we've moved on to the end of the hallway. We finally got our IT department moved down there, so it's been a lot just getting that put in place and getting settled in, so we're settled in down there, and got all the equipment ordered that was put in the 2019 budget. Meeting this week with the gentleman that's putting in the generator. He's going to come up and meet with Pam and I and give us the quotes and specs on it so we can put it out for closed bid, because it's going to be quite a bit more than $10,000, which you guys have already approved that for the budget. So he's going to meet us this week, and I've got all the equipment ordered. It's going to be the replacing the microphones in here also, so hopefully that'll be put in within the next month also.
Well, get some good microphones.
They are.
Get some good ones.
They are. They're kind of like what you guys are using. They don't make those anymore, but
Yeah.
That's how that
the
came
specs are.
Well, the last time we had a meeting of fire chief, of course, he probably didn't know to pull that microphone up close. And I happened to be going through Channel 6 and heard a little of it. You couldn't, it wasn't his fault. You couldn't understand what he's saying, but it wasn't his fault. But we've been complaints about these microphone stuff quite a while now. So
Yeah, and finding the equipment that was put in here has been kind of a challenge, because it was put in, I guess, 15 or 20 years ago. I don't know when this was put in. It was before my time. So, but I've got everything on order, so that should be in place in the next month. And I've been working a lot with 911. We've had quite a bit of issues up there with them upgrading into their new phone system, and having 4 different networks up there that they were kind of stepping on top of each other, but I got all that separated, so they're all straightened out and working good. So.
if the fire chief had been, the police chief had been here, I was going to ask him a question, but he's not here. And you might know a little about this, and you might not want to know anything about it. Have you just kind of heard how that digital radio changeover is going for the police department? You heard anything about it?
It's my understanding that both of the radios with the sheriff's department and the police department are up and going. I think we're just mainly waiting on radios.
So you think 911's got it all set?
Oh, yeah, they definitely got it all.
They got,
They got
for Channel 3,
everything.
for Channel 3?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm. Yeah.
all right. So it's on our side now?
It's on,
Yeah.
just getting the digital radios, and
Yeah.
from my understanding, you guys are ordering them with all the new vehicles.
Well, they're coming in with the new vehicles, but then again, the older vehicles and all the carry-ons is gonna have to be put into older vehicles that we'll be keeping, so that's probably gonna be a little bit of a hang-up right there. Yeah,
Yeah, but everything's in place.
okay.
And besides that, that's about it. If you got any questions, I'll be glad to answer them for you.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
Jerry, I have one question. How are we coming along with the music on the square or piping in? Because I know the 911 ceremony, you couldn't hear anything. And I don't know if that's on our part or is that on the county part or...
Well,
It was a beautiful ceremony, but you just couldn't hear anything.
Well, you know, what we're doing on the square won't have anything to do with a ceremony like that. That's
Okay.
all a local PA system that has to be set up, and they brought me into it and to run the sound for them this year. I think next year it'll be on the city, but this year it was the county. So
Okay.
what we're going to be installing around the square won't have anything to do with that little area
Okay.
right there. But we've got I hate to put the public Wi-Fi on the bottom of the list, but that's kind of where it's been because I've got so many other fires to fight. But we're to the point where we're hopefully by the end of this month we'll be testing that, and then it's just a matter of getting it installed. But
Thank you.
Well, Alderman Hartman's right about that, because we standing back there together.
Right.
I couldn't hear anything. I thought, my hearing's not the best in the world, but it's not that bad, so
Really?
it was,
Well, that's something,
Well,
that's something we'll work on between now
Yeah.
and,
yeah,
like I said, we hosted it.
yeah.
It's coming up next year, so.
yeah, and one of the issues with that is, you know, you set up that morning and you don't really have a lot of time for testing or anything like that. And I didn't know how bad it was in the far back. I had nobody back here telling me or anything like that. So that's something that just has to be kind of worked out that morning.
No, maybe if we back here from now on, we're on the back one. Hey, we can't
Yeah,
hear.
I
We can't hear.
What's that?
Get there earlier today.
Yeah, I guess you could. All right, thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to finance. Number one, Fayetteville City School Budget Amendment FY 2020. This deals with their budget amendment for their SRO officers. We talked about this in finance. This is normal housekeeping. And also, we can just, correct me if I'm wrong, it's part of our audit process too, making, because their budget goes in our audit, so. It's on the iPad if anybody has any questions. If not, we'll take it forward to Tuesday. Next is R1911 IDB resolution for pilot agreement. Elaine Middleton came to our finance committee meeting 2 days ago and discussed, there's a company looking at a spec building in the industrial park out there where we talked about earlier. And there's a presentation that if they did come and purchase the building and establish that they are asking for a pilot, and this is, and normally a pilot agreement we would do an abatement over 100% over 10 years. This is only 50% abatement over a 10-year period.
I'm okay with moving it on. It's
Yes.
just normal.
And it could just only take place if this.
And it's if you go on down that other page down there, it tells the anticipated number of employees, if we get them an hourly wage and all that down there, if you go a little further down. Anticipate 267 employees, maybe $21.20 an hour average wage. So some more information on down there, on the next page down.
That's satisfactory. We'll move it forward.
Yes.
All right. Anything else under
Yeah,
finance?
I will say this, we had invited Elaine to come this morning, but she had an appointment at 7:30 with a prospect.
That's correct.
And we certainly don't want to interfere with prospect. But she did come to the finance.
She did.
She did come to the finance
She
meeting.
did. And if you ever need any questions, she'll respond. call or email, she'll respond. I just say any board, if you have any questions, be happy to respond. Next, under administration, Scott, will you highlight this Community Appreciation Day that the city's going to put on?
Yes, sir, I can. With your permission and boards, I'll touch on a couple more things, and then I'll ask either Christy, Adrian, or Jerry, because they're the driving force behind the Community Day. But a couple of reminders is today is the Boyd Foundation Dog Park Dash check presentation, and that'll be at 12:15 at the dog park, and encourage everyone to attend that. Also, this weekend we have our 5th annual cruising event. Adrian and others have been working very hard on that, and it's really looking up. The weather forecast is spectacular. And speaking of spectacular, I'd like to encourage everybody to please join us on Tiger Hill Friday night, because that game against Cornersville is more or less for the championship.
Region.
Yeah. So
District.
Or district.
District.
so it's exciting times right now, and I'd like to have everybody up there. And with that being said, I'll have updates on several other projects Tuesday night. But Adrian, do you or Jerry want to address the community? Jerry?
You ain't got to speak, do you? Well, what we want to do on that day is Celebration Day. We were going to provide a free lunch for anybody that would like to come. When we say lunch, it's just going to be like hot dogs, and I think Frito-Lay is going to come and pass out the chips, and we're in the process of gathering the Cokes or water that we're going to give, and so we're going to have this open to the public so anyone can come downtown if they'd like between 11 and 1 o'clock and just have a hot dog, and we just kind of give back a little bit and talk to the citizens and maybe provide a little music on the square, and so light music from about 11 to 1 o'clock. And I think we're going to block off this side right over here for this event. So.
What was the date of that again? The date?
Isn't it 18th? Just a way to get people downtown and maybe show a little appreciation.
Sure. And then cruise in. What date's the cruise in?
Yes, sir.
What day?
Oh, it's this Saturday.
This Saturday.
Yes.
That's right. So
and
don't forget.
of course, First Friday
That's right, First
is
Friday.
this Friday.
First
so a lot
Friday,
of
too.
great activity on the square this
That's right.
weekend.
Have we got several signed up for the cruise in?
Yes.
Because they're having one at the Elks Lodge the same day, so.
Adrian, please.
Oh, we got Adrian up here after all.
Yes.
Uh-oh, we done hit a nerve somewhere.
She's got some good news.
Yes, so the Elks Lodge was planning theirs. They didn't know that we have
Right.
ours annually or whatever, and I have spoken with the representative, and they're actually going to join forces and come up to the square, and we're going to give half of our registration fees to their charity donation, their Christmas charity. That was kind of a help out for them to come up, and they weren't doing a registration fee, they were just taking up donations, so that'll help them and help us. So we've got one combination car show in town instead of 2 separate ones, so I think it'll be real nice. We've got a lot of new food trucks coming this time. Everybody's really excited, so y'all come out.
Now, I didn't know that. I didn't know that y'all had worked this out, so.
It just
See that?
came about this past week. He was supposed to let me know, and actually he came in yesterday and talked with me, so
That's great.
he had
That's
decided
good.
that would be best for everybody, so.
That's good. Well, it'll turn into a big one then.
Yes, sir, we're excited.
That's good. Community working together.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank
Thanks.
you so much. Scott, did you have anything?
No, sir.
All right. Yeah, I'll just, everybody's got an opportunity to come and hit First Friday and get all their homegrown goods and everything, and then go to the ball game and then come back Saturday morning.
Yeah, them Tigers are 6-0 now.
That's right.
Now, they play rough, but they play good. They rough, though. They got a good team this year. They
do.
They got good coaches, good team.
Fun to watch.
Alderman Martinez, you'd asked to speak this morning.
Yes, sir. I wanted to speak on behalf of a text message I received after the last BMA meeting that we had here. I received a text message from a citizen of the community saying that wanted to know why I didn't second the motion of Donna Hartman's, Alderman Hartman, I'm sorry, Jake breaks, and I gave him my reasons for my research and stuff like that, but I guess what was so out of place about the text message was that he said that we, as a board, had an agenda against Donna Hartman, Alderman Hartman, I'm sorry. And so I wanted to say that I don't have an agenda against Ms. Hartman, and I would like the board as well to open up on their view on that, but to the community, to the board and the mayor, I agree with some of the things that Ms. Hartman says, and I don't agree with some things, but that's what makes us unique as a board, but it is not my outlook to go out and vote everything against everything she brings to the table.
Well, I'll second that. I mean, there's been time that me and Alderman Hartman have agreed on things. There's going to be times we disagree on things. There's times that me and Mr. Bryant may disagree. That's just part of being on the board.
Yeah, I tell you what, if you don't have an individual, your eyesight is not, I've been around here for a while, if your eyesight is not on the individual, on how you feel about each issue, and every board member's got a right to feel how they feel about each issue, whether the emotion, second, or whatever, that's what the board is all about. To me now, this first I've heard of this right here, though. I didn't.
Yeah, he sent it to me individually, and it kind of, like I said, I get everybody in the community has different feels and views, and I'm not going to agree with everything that I agree with or don't agree with, but I just want her as an individual to know, and the community to know as well, that I do not go looking to go against everything she says and brings forth to this board.
Well, a healthy board is a board that has different ideas, but I think with this board, I will say nobody's singled you out, nobody's singled anybody else out. We come collective, you come earnest, everybody comes passionate. At the end of the day, and we vote, and then we go forward. And a lot of times, I know I've heard it before, is you may not agree with it, but it becomes policy, and then the board, we carry it forward. And Mr. Collins is in a position too. And he may not agree on what the board, but once we put it in his hands, he's got to carry that forward. That's the board policy. But we have a healthy board, and everybody has a right. And that's the thing about when you get elected. There's no waiting period. From day one, you have a right to say what you want to say. You have a right to vote on what you want to vote or not vote. And that's the way it is. 4 years seems long, but that's a short amount of time to kind of get the things you want to do. And some of the young board members, you're learning that now. We're a year in, almost.
Yeah.
We're 10 months in, almost 11. But thank you for that. And like I said, nobody up here is working against anybody. I can say that firsthand. So we're all collectively, the issues we have are, sometimes they seem monumental, but at the end of the day, we're all working forward for the best of the community.
And I would like to say I don't feel isolated in any way. I think we're a board that works together. Yes, we fight and we tug it out sometimes, but at the end of the day, we are a united board. I still feel strongly about the Jake break issue, and even in the Walker Collaborative presentation the other night, they had on their handouts of how the wear and tear of these large trucks are on our city streets. So I'm like, yes, but that was my point. I got it across, and I brought it for the citizens, not just for me, but I'm contacted by the citizens, so I'm going to bring issues to this board. Yep. They may not be my personal issues, but I appreciate you bringing that forward, and we're good with each other.
Any other member have anything today? Mm-hmm. All right, we'll adjourn this meeting. We'll meet Tuesday night. Do the business of the city. Have a good day.